คุณเทพชัย but today the case of new infection is quite very low at 38 of new cases today.
We can look at it as the best piece of news in weeks, if we may say so, because we has been desperate for good news. So with the number of new cases just at 38, I think that certainly we no matter how we look at it, I mean, it's the best piece of news for today.
Yes, but it's not something to be relaxed. But we have to thank for state of emergency and curfew, which has been in place for 4 days already since Friday. And it makes the number to be reduced to 38 new cases of infection for today. And it can be said that it's the lowest in the past 2 weeks with the case of new infection.
Yeah, so why we can take comfort from the declining number of new infection cases. I mean, medical experts, especially the spokesman of the Center Fighting Against COVID-19, Dr. Tavisin Visanu-Yotin today cautioned against over-optimism because a lot still needs to be done. And with the figures of infection going sort of a plateau over the past 3 days, doesn't really mean that we have turned the corner yet. So that means that we have to stay vigilant. He asked to use a boxing term, saying that we cannot lower our guard. Otherwise, we get knocked out before we know it.
That's right. It's very clear comparison for Thai people in general right now that we have to keep our guard high and we cannot be too complacent with the lower number of the case of new infections. But if we look back of the case of infection in the past 2 weeks, the number was highest on 21st of March. That day, the number rose to 188. And since then, the number tend to be higher than 100 until yesterday that it was 51. And today is 38 new cases. So we can see things in perspective and see how the number of infection has been on the slope of rising. Until today, it's just a bit of dropping of the curve.
Of course, there were questions about the effectiveness or the efficiency of the testing of suspected infections. Reporters did raise the question with the spokesman today during the press conference. The question centered on whether or not the country has conducted enough tests to make the fatality rates or the infection rates that we have been hearing, believable or reliable. Dr. Tavisin admitted that we still need to do more testing. He said so far the country has done about 70,000 tests. And as of just today, he said that an average of 20,000 testing are being carried out. So he said that many more need to be done to give a more accurate picture of the spread of the virus.
Yes, it's quite understandable in terms of number of testing on PCR. And as Kun Thepchai mentioned, so far, totally it's 70,000 testing has been done already. And nowadays, it's about 10,000 each in Bangkok and 10,000 each in provinces. So totally, each day, Thailand can do about 20,000 of testing on PCR.
Dr. Tavisin, of course, attributed the drop in the number of new cases to the implementation of the curfew. And he said Thai people can pat themselves in the back for their good work done. But of course, we have to stay vigilant. And he said that if you stay home, then you can consider yourself that you are contributing to the drop in the new infection cases. So his message is very firm that we need to continue to stay home and to practice strict social distancing.
Yes, and as of now, perhaps the likelihood of having 24 hours curfew is something that we need to see whether authority will make a decision to extend longer hours of curfew to 24 hours or not if the number of cases of new infections still remain at about this level.
Yeah. And the biggest concern for the government at the moment is the arrival of many Thais traveling back from abroad. And this group of people are seen as the potential source of spreading of infections. So the Prime Minister, General Prajurit Chan-o-cha, has been firm in making sure that all the returnees, the Thais or arrivals or foreign arrivals, need to be subject to state quarantine of a minimum of 14 days. So no matter who you are and whatever papers you carry with you, even if you have so-called fit to fly certificates, but once you land in Thai soil, you need to be quarantined for 14 days to ensure that you will not be another source of the infection.
Yes, so it must be quite a big disappointment for Thai who want to return home at this very juncture, but they still have to wait. And a group of Thai students who were in Japan, their schedule to be returned to Thailand has to be delayed a bit. But right now, staff of Foreign Ministry Affairs in Japan has been trying to take care of them, of staying over in Japan.
But many more are waiting to return home. Of course, the government has made it even more difficult for Thais to return with the requirements that they have the so-called fit to fly certificates and then certifying documents from the Thai embassies. And Kunathai and I have been talking to a number of Thais who are still overseas and waiting for their turns to come back. And of course, the people we talked to, they said they are more than happy to be subject to the state quarantine as long as they know that they have a chance to come back.
Yes. And